All right, so here we go. We're live. So hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Random 10 Experience. I know we're a little bit late. Actually, we delayed our live stream about an hour tonight because we had a really important, a couple of things. We had some really good friends come over for dinner again, and so just a shout out to Jose and Patricia. So, they're probably watching. Hey guys, it was a lot of fun. I know our kids had a lot of fun together. So, and then we also had a really important call, which is an awesome call, in our home-based business. So, lots and lots of stuff, happening. So, and here's my, little thing here. I always try, you guys don't see it off screen. You want to get her there? Got the little one. We're just going to deal with like some kid stuff here. But, it's, yeah. So this work from home thing, I have to say, is really awesome, and it's been a real big blessing for Liz and I. It's allowed us to wake up in the morning. Here's a problem that we've had. Actually, it's funny. We actually had to decide on a time that we were going to wake up every morning, because we were, because when you're working from home, you don't really have to wake up. I mean, we're homeschooling and everything, but, and so really was for the kids too. We had to actually decide, okay, we want to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, because we knew that waking up at 7, we had, we were able to get a lot of stuff done during the day. But that's actually one of the unforeseen disciplines of having to work, of being able to work from home, is, you
call your own time.
Yeah, you call your own time.
Which means you have to call your time.
So yeah, and you've got to be a steward. You got to be a steward of your time. So that's been a big lesson for us in this journey in entrepreneurship. Yeah. Okay, so if you read the little blurb for tonight, we wanted to talk tonight about balancing homeschool and work life. We want to talk a little bit about goal setting and different strategies for goal setting. We want to talk about, communicating with each other and how we communicate with each other. And maybe share a little bit more of our story working from home. So actually, I'm going to jump off screen this time and maybe let Liz start with whatever she wants to talk about, or I don't know.
Sure.
Okay,
sure. So, I could talk a little bit about, maybe I'll talk about the communication thing.
Yes.
There's obviously, communication is one of those things that's key in relationships, any kind of relationship. Where we tend to focus on is on our marriage, obviously. And there's lots of different techniques and tools that people use to try to make it a smoother process, to make themselves understood, to try to understand their significant other as well. And the techniques that we've found that are most useful is a set of tools called the temperaments. And we actually really like the book, The Temperament God Gave You by Art and Lorraine Bennett, which we always lend it out to people. So I can't show you a copy of it right now because we've actually lent it out to someone. But it's the only tool that we've found where only one person in the pair of you needs to really have a grasp of it in order to make it an effective tool to change how your communication is playing out. Because once one of you understands your own set of communication patterns, then you can also learn what your spouse's or your whatever other person that you're in relationship with, you can change by understanding what their needs are and the way that they perceive things. So, for instance, the 4 classic temperaments are the choleric, the sanguine, the melancholic, and the phlegmatic.
And we both each have our own favorite way of describing what the characteristics of the temperaments is. So I'll let this go first with hers.
Yeah. So The choleric likes to do things, this is in a nutshell, the choleric likes to do things their way. The sanguine likes to do things the fun way. The melancholic likes to do things the right way. And the phlegmatic likes to do things the peaceful way.
And the way that I like to describe the temperaments is, if you say, see, there was a house and it was on fire, the choleric would be the first one to say, okay, everybody, let's form a line. We're going to get, a row of buckets from the river to the house. We're going to start, hand over hand. We're going to put this house, we're going to put the fire out on this house. The melancholic would say, look at the house and say, well, over 50% of the house has already been burnt down. So might as well let the rest of it burn down and we'll rebuild it, from scratch. The phlegmatic will often say, well, I didn't start the fire. So, and the sanguine says, hey, anybody got any marshmallows? So, 3 guesses on who I am, right? So, spotlight on me, not a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the temperaments have been a really big help for us, understanding our temperaments. We already communicated pretty well already. Like we'd read, similar books. So having the same vocabulary, that's a big thing about communicating with each other. So, a really big book back in the day was Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And both of us had read it. And, it gave us a set of common words that we could use, that we could understand each other with, so if I said, okay, I need a little bit of cave time, that's a reference to that book, we already knew, what that, we knew what that meant. But when we read the temperaments, it took our communication 10 notches higher, and better and more effective, actually, because we, for the first time we could understand, that no, that this wasn't meant to be criticizing, or no, this wasn't meant to be, reckless and right, and spontaneous or whatever, right? So, we could understand, where each other was coming from.
Yeah, because it lays it out objectively how each of those 4 temperaments actually perceive reality and what they actually need from reality in order to feel heard and in order to feel effective. So that's I'm
just jumping off screen to see if I can get Rasheen to calm down.
So the next, I guess the next thing we'll talk about tonight is balancing the homeschool, because that's been more my purview over the last couple of years, and now that Jeff's working from home as well, it's more in his hand, but challenge in terms of logistics and in terms of growth, standing, learning curve, and forgiving ourselves for the mistakes that everybody makes in life, but that each of those mistakes is also a learning tool. And someone actually gave me a really good piece of advice. And thankfully, I got this piece of advice just as I was coming to the end of my first year of homeschooling. And she said that she had been homeschooling for 3 years at the time. And she was just about to throw in the towel. She was like, nothing is working. Everything I do, I tried and it doesn't work. And it's just, I'm doing it all wrong. Obviously, I'm not meant to do this. And someone said to her, you've been doing this how long? And she said 3 years. And they said, well, then you're just about to start getting it right. There's this kind of 3-year hump where you start out, you don't know what you're doing. You have all these great ideas. You've realized the immense scope there is out there of resources and tools and philosophies available. And you're just starting to get comfortable and figure out your flow and your rhythm and what works for your family, as well as what works for each individual kids, because sometimes individual kids have their quirks, and it takes time to fit all the quirks together and make it a whole unified working whole.
Yeah, and I would just sort of add in there too, number one, I would 100% completely recommend homeschooling if you're thinking about it. But because it's been such an amazing experience for us. We've been able to do lots and lots of things, together as a family. But before you start homeschooling, you should take stock of what your motivations are. What's your motivation to homeschool? Because it's really going to greatly impact your homeschooling experience. Like we've known homeschoolers who have reacted, against, what's happening in the negative experiences in their local school. And, and I got to say, like, I got a lot of respect for teachers, because I know, having taught in the classroom for 7 years, an amazing profession, but I know what teachers go through. So teachers work really hard, and I really do believe that there are a lot of teachers out there who really passionately love teaching their kids. I mean, you can't be there if you don't. But the fact of the matter is, there's also certain limitations, that are in the classroom, and for us, we wanted to take really more of an experiential approach to our kids' education. So,
it wasn't for us. It wasn't a move away from the school system. It was a move towards a lifestyle that we wanted to explore with our family.
Yeah, because and exploring that lifestyle has brought us places to like California. The kids were able to walk in the ocean, and we also one year we got memberships to the Ontario Science Center. Saw every IMAX film that there was in the Science Center, and the kids spent tons of time, hours going to the different exhibits and stuff.
Different hands-on
activities and everything, right? So we've been able to, for the past 2 years in a row, 2 years skiing now.
Yeah.
For the past 2 years, we've been able to take all of our older kids, obviously Rasheen and Gabriel, and actually Raphael and Bernadette weren't really
ready yet.
They weren't ready for skiing yet. So five of the 9 kids, and myself, were able to go skiing. Not just like once. We went out 6 times this year, and I think we went out 6 times last year. So, and homeschooling has made that affordable. It's made it possible. Just for example, a homeschooling rate, like a school rate, you get a school rate at our local ski hill. And it's $23 for lift ticket, rental, and lesson if you're skiing, and it's $36 if you're snowboarding. So I mean, it's amazing. If you're a skier, what the value of that is. Same thing for swimming lessons. All of our kids who are swimming, we've been able to have them in swimming lessons for a couple of years.
Yeah,
3 years now.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years now. And for 10 lessons, we're paying maybe $25, right? So $25 for 10 lessons of swimming. And this is, I can't remember if it's LSS or NL. Anyway, so by qualified accredited teachers, swim teachers at a community center. So it's been amazing. And we wouldn't have been able to do that if if we were both bound. I tend to use the word stuck, but if we were in a traditional 9-to-5 work environment, if we were constrained to that 9-to-5 work life. So home-based business for us has been really the way to go in terms of structuring our income, because hey, I mean, everybody likes to eat, you know, and kids get used to that. You know, bills got to get paid. I mean, like everybody else. But lets us. Yeah. Oh, awesome. Cool. We've got a question here, a live question. So, would you say homeschooling would be financially easier than sending them to regular school? And I'm going to say yes, but it depends, because you know, you can spend a lot of money homeschooling if you want to. You know, you can enroll your kids in skydiving lessons, and you know, high end cooking classes. You know, so you can spend even more than a private school education, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
Right.
There is the cost of curriculum. So whereas if your kids are in the regular schools, their textbooks and their a lot of their materials are included. So as a homeschooler, you're responsible for purchasing that stuff or finding it yourself. But there's so much available now that's free online. Actually, I just found another free online homeschool curriculum, Easy Peasy Homeschool, I think it's called, that I'm just checking out myself. It lays everything out day by day for a whole school year. So there's
Khan Academy is awesome.
And the way schooling is going, there's so much education that's available online for free. I think even MIT now, you can get an MIT education and then just for the certification to take your exams and have your qualification.
I think it's not even that. You take your exams, your exams and your papers are adjudicated, you know, and you actually get a grade. But to get, you know, so all you're really paying for is your graduation certificate, and you know, and that's how MIT makes their money on that. Right.
But I mean, we do have our older kids are in the publicly funded high school system. And I mean, we still spend a lot of money on them going to school. There's activity fees, there's field trips they need for their money. If they're doing extracurriculars, if they're on sports teams, if they're on, you know, musical.
Gavin, so for example, Gavin's team, Gavin's band, school band, just got invited to nationals, and you know, they won gold, and so we were really we were super proud of them. You know, but that entire trip cost $550. So you know, I mean, that's for Gavin, and then Aileen and Gavin are both also in the choir, and then Aileen, you know, and Gavin went to Wonderland, so that's another
competition,
65, you know,
another fee.
$65 each, so you know, $130 there over the 550. So there's lots of things in.
I would say, it can be cheaper, it can be more expensive. It depends which way. Which way it goes. Which way you choose to do it.
Yeah. You know, but we're always available to answer any questions like that via email. You can email us at randomtanexperience@gmail.com. You know, if you have any more of these questions that you want us to answer in more detail, but hopefully that helps a little bit. I guess the short answer is, you know, you get to determine how much you're going to spend in your homeschooling. You still want to budget, like we, you know, and a lot of our resources, you know, just like with everything else, you know, there's initial outlay, but now we're, I think, on this third time. So Gavin went through the math, Aileen went through the math, now Matthias is going through the math. So, you know, like our math curriculum has been passed down.
So you pay for it once.
You pay for it once, and
you've got it on hand.
Right. So I guess that's that hope that answers at least partially. And I'm just writing this down.
Scribbling away.
Yeah. I was looking online this week, you know, as to why you know, there's supposed to be a function in this Google Hangouts thing that you know will it's called lower third, that shows our information on the bottom of the screen there. But
.com.
.com, right? But for some reason it's not working, and apparently it's not working for a lot of other people too. So I still haven't resolved that. But our email is randomtanexperience@gmail.com, and hopefully it is appearing in the right way on the screen, because on my screen it came out mirror image. But anyway, good. So yeah, so goal setting. Okay, so I did want to talk a little bit about goal setting, and that's actually probably apropos, because you have to goal, because part of homeschooling, you got to set your goals for the year, and also in life you want to set some of your own life goals. You don't want to be a passenger in your own life. You want to be a driver. My dad used to say, you got to row your own boat, right? You got to row your own boat, because if you're not rowing your own boat, somebody else is rowing your boat for you, right? So goal setting. I like to, in my life coaching practice, I like to teach a method I call the 5x5, right? So what does that mean? For, what do you want to do in 5 years from now? Right? See, what do you want to do 5 years from now? What do you want to do? I like to dream, right? I like to, with my coaching coachees or coaching clients or whatever, one of the first things I like to do is I like to dream and say, okay, well, 10 years from now or 15 years from now, what do you want your life to look like? Or what do you want your life to, what do you see your life, being like? And, and then we take, take a few minutes to dream. And then I said, okay, so 5 years from now, we break it down, once we get to 10 years, we bring it down to the 5 years. So 5 years from now, when you wake up in the morning, what do you want to see? What do you want to be having for breakfast? Where do you want to be living? What do you want your environment to be like? And, and I don't ever tell anybody to do something that I haven't done myself. And we are, in fact, living our current 5 year dream. It was 7 years ago. So we're currently about 3 years into our current 5 year plan. Anyway, but yeah, however many years that was ago, I said I want to be working from home. Have our own business, be our own boss, and and here we are. So in order to get to 5 years, so once you get to 5 years, this is what you want your life to be like, then you have to ask yourself, okay, so what has to be done by year 4 in order for year 5 to happen, right? What has to be done in year 3 in order for the stuff in year 4 to have to happen? And then 2, and then obviously to year 1. Okay, so what has to happen in the next year in order for your 5 year plan to happen? And then when you get to your first year, you got to divide it up into 90-day chunks, right? So in this 90 days, so for losing my math here, right? So 6 months from now, right? So 6 months from now, what has to happen 6 months from now in order for your 1 year to happen, right? Once you get to 6 months, okay, so well, then what needs to happen? Once you get from 3 months to now, you can chart out your next month. Once you chart out your next month, then you know what you need to do next week. When you know what needs to happen next week, then you know what needs to happen tomorrow. And when you know what needs to happen tomorrow, then you know what you need to do today. You see, and I always say 5 year plan today, and tomorrow it's still a 5 year plan, then you've wasted your time. Because if you make a 5 year plan today, tomorrow it's got to be a 4 year, 365 4-day plan for the leap year there. Anyway, so yeah, make a 5 year plan today. Tomorrow it's a 4 year, 364-day plan, right? So that's a technique that I use in goal setting. And you can apply it. You can apply it for any area of your life. You can apply it for your career. You can apply it for your, your income. You can apply it for your financial, future. You can apply it
to your relationships.
You can apply it to your relationships. Okay, well, here's a great thing about is, well, if you're single, and I know a lot of some of my former students are out there, and a lot of them are still single, and I used to teach my students this. What is your ideal? What is your picture or your idea of your ideal spouse, right? And make a list. Make a list of all of the characteristics and qualities that you want in your ideal spouse. And once you have that list, then you got to ask yourself, what kind of person is this person going to be attracted to? Then you have to work to be that person. Right? So then you got to work to be that kind of person. So, and there again. So how long is it going to take you to be that person? Right?
And also because particularly in the area of relationships, it's an area that you don't want to skimp on. And this is something that I actually did, was I made a list when I was a teenager, and I haven't told this to a lot of it. I made a list of everything that I thought I wanted in a guy, and I put the list away, and I never thought about it again for a long time. But I'd made the list. It was in my subconscious, and my subconscious was obviously working on it when I wasn't paying attention. And Jeff and I had started dating, and I found this list again, and I looked at it, and I realized, Jeff actually had him on that list. So because I'd made the list, and it was working in my subconscious was keeping eyes out, making sure I picked up on the cues of characteristics I was looking for in a life partner.
And
and it worked.
Yep. We'll share our backstory on another episode.
That's a whole other
that's a whole other thing. But it's coming up to the top of the hour. I know we started a couple minutes late tonight. So but I did have a couple of really cool announcements. So coming around mid to late June, I announced this a couple of episodes ago that we were working on them, and they will be ready probably around mid to late June. And these are the courses on godly financial management or in financial stewardship, subtitled How Liz and I Got Out of Debt in about a year and a half. And then the other course that we're going to be launching close to the end of this month is our course on entrepreneurship and how to start your own business, and how to transition from having a job to being your own boss, and then to really having your own business. Because there is a big difference between being your own boss and that's something that we'll cover in the course, but it's definitely not something that I knew going into, something I had to learn on the way. So here's an opportunity
There's lots of things you learn on the way.
So really it's just an opportunity to learn from our mistakes, right? And I make it a point to try to learn from other people's mistakes, and now giving the opportunity for other people to learn from ours. So that's it. So look for those courses, or we're going to announce them, and we'll share the links on our YouTube page for that. So with that, that's about it. So thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully the sound didn't cut out at the end this time. I know we got some feedback last time, right at the end of the show. Some of our sound came out. So hopefully the sound came out all the way through this time. And we'll see you guys again at the regular time. So we'll see you guys again next week at the regular time.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, everybody.